So we do this for about an hour. So yeah, I'm gonna go over some of the stuff here just to re-say it, and then I found a bit that I wanted to focus on when I stopped
We also need
recording
to
last
find
time.
another name for the gods because the gods imply that they made us on purpose or something, and the
Yeah,
nature didn't.
yeah, which is why I was like when I was organizing this with GPT, and it was literally saying one of the first things you need to do is give Mother Nature and the gods a distinct or mythic name. I was like, it's exactly what I wanted to do
Well,
because I don't want to use Mother Nature or the gods. I don't want those to be names. I'm using those words
yeah,
because it's easy to talk about because we're familiar with what they are, and then I
yeah,
want to morph it into a new entity that makes sense within the world.
yeah, and then
Um,
change the name.
yeah, but I feel like if I started from like if I called them Axiom and it's like, yeah, Axiom believes this, and then you know what I mean. It's like, who the fuck is Axiom? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? So I just that's why I'm using Mother Nature and
I know
gods
why.
because we can
I
kind of
know why. I'm just saying it does need to happen, and I would like
yes,
to do
for
that.
sure.
But I guess we should wait. You're right.
Yeah, no, on the sooner side, definitely would do that because I don't like it either. All right, so core conflict theme: cosmic indifference. Humanity is a byproduct of a divine war. I took that from what you were saying. I kind of like that idea with instead of they created us, instead of Mother Nature and the gods creating us together in a peaceful environment. Basically, Mother Nature is Earth, is planet Earth. The time period is back in the beginning of human existence, and Mother Nature is a magical. It's like a magic entity that you can't see. It's kind of a abstract in a way, like you can't actually see it, but it's the cause of all life on Earth before humans existed. And the gods are just some beings that exist in the universe, and they stumble upon planet Earth and they see the things that are being created there, and they're interested. They're like, "Ooh, I want that," or like, "I'm interested in seeing what that is," or out of curiosity or greed, they interact with planet Earth. They want the magic that is Mother Nature, and it starts a war between Mother Nature and the gods. And then the primary conflict.
Or just basically fucking two entities just beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go over what this said because this did a pretty good job to sum it up, and I'm gonna tell you an idea that I had while I was at work that I didn't go over with you yet. So primary conflict: Mother Nature versus the gods. Metaphysical war over the essence of life and power. I haven't decided what the war is over yet, but that is a decent start. Life and power, okay. Human role, collateral creation, surviving in the ruins and tides of divine conflict. I don't want humans to have a change in the war. They are just surviving. It's a grim, dark setting.
Yeah.
It's
I
it's
was gonna suggest we try and think what would a day in a life of a human look like? Like how much action is actually happening like in the cosmos above them at all times?
yeah. That's a good question. Let me get my thought across, and then
Sure. Sorry.
we can go into that because that's one of the questions that's been bothering me very badly. I was trying to get that out when I was talking to Josh, and we made progress and lost progress, but I would like to have that conversation with you. So this is the only thing I wanted to go over. Then we can go into that. Is it broke down Mother Nature and the gods based off the information that I gave it. It broke it down into very digestible bullet points. So Mother Nature is nature, abstract, animistic, non-verbal. I love that. I don't want it to be a verbal entity that you can like converse with. It has some kind of like magical essence that it gives off, but there's no like location of where you can find it on Earth, or maybe it's within the fourth dimension, so we can't visibly see it. I don't know. Philosophy is balance and flow. Every action has a counteraction. And then when it comes to the gods, their nature is foreign, invasive, intelligent, but
By the way, I
gluttonous.
did read all this.
Okay.
I thought you were just rereading it to
I am.
prompt
I am.
ideas, but
There
it was
was
already we already prompted ideas, so there's no reason to continue reading it.
okay. All right. Let me just
Yeah,
then I'll just go right
kind of
into
like
the thing. You wanted me to
yeah,
get
yeah,
some of the stuff out in words so that GPT I can send it to it,
yeah.
and
And
so
we
it
already
has it.
had.
So I was just
Oh,
finishing this part up so that way I have some of it
got. If
out
you
in
want to,
words.
you can. I was just saying, like, I don't have to listen. It's not. I'm losing. I'm losing whatever.
Oh,
I don't even remember what I fucking said now.
okay. All right, I remember what you
My
said.
bad, but yeah,
So yeah, the thing that I wanted to go over was before going into the humanity part, you're wondering about the day in the life of a human. Before we go into the day in the life of a human, I wanted to go over something that I was thinking about at work, and that's about the philosophy of these two. So I was thinking that Mother Nature doesn't have morals, it doesn't have a plan, it doesn't have like thoughts and like. It's not trying to necessarily do anything in particular. It just is like a it
it's
just it
entropy.
yeah, and it like controls the balance of
It's
things,
a
and it just
breakdown of it.
reacts. It's
Like
reactionary,
you
right?
can't destroy, the energy and stuff that it uses.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like matter.
Every
You
action
can't
has a
destroy.
reaction, kind of
And
thing.
but also things can be made entropic, break down the matter into and turn it in different forms and energies and things, and that's what nature does. It just decays. It's entropy, and I think that's a theme that should be heavily
Uh,
used.
decay and then creation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like it doesn't have to be straight up a Nurgle type thing, but that's and it's a common. It's like a tropey kind of thing, but it's just what nature is.
yeah.
It's completely indifferent and ruthless. But
So if that is if
every
that's what it is,
humans are really good at entropy.
if that's
We
what
use
if
so
that's what
much
this
energy.
thing if that's what this thing is by nature, what do you think about like the fact that the gods or whatever these beings are that are desiring its power or whatever, the harder they push, the harder it pulls. So um, the more powerful they are, the more powerful nature is, right? How do you feel about that idea? Is that it actually
More
creates
powerful who
stronger
is like, oh,
beings
it's
to
entities.
fight back? Yeah, like nature creates stronger beings to fight back. That equalizes the power being brought upon it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. That works, and that's why I was gonna suggest that's why humans are going to like they're not even noticed by what the entities that are fighting right now, but eventually they'll be seen not directly because like but they'll be seen in a sense like champions because humans are very very good at entropy, right? And then so that would make Mother Nature be
and
very interested
define
in
entropy.
like the breakdown of matter into other forms and things like that. So like you eat food, it turns into you break it down into waste, but you use some of it and it turns into nutrients for you, and you're breaking stuff down, and over time entropy would eventually lead to like the heat death of the universe where everything is so far apart and scattered because things are just broken down and energy is used up. You know what I mean? So like nature would look at humans as a tool to continue its like quest for just like consuming matter and turning it into other things that
Yeah,
break down more matter, right,
yeah.
into other things, and I guess make
So
a cycle.
you're saying that's a core pillar
Like
to
just
kind of understand how the nature works.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think that they would, and I think that would also make humanity important to them, which would eventually make them important to the gods, because they want to corrupt the power that nature has for themselves and control it, right? So if nature sees something as important, suddenly the gods are interested in corrupting it. So I think that would be an interesting thing within the framework as the time goes on through the story of the history.
Yeah.
But if they
Um.
start off, I think they should definitely start off as like extremely just a fart. Just like
Yeah.
an accident, a shart, if you had
What
will.
humans? The existence of humans? You're saying?
Yeah, there's just a shart of the god of the battle. Like it's
Yeah.
like one like nature got punched in the gut so hard that they sharted out fucking humans. It was a fear shart.
Yeah. Um, but all of this information, when it comes to nature and the gods and whatnot, it isn't even like super important when it comes to when you do an actual storytelling portion. Like if I were to do a actual like segment where you see from the human's perspective, because everything's gonna be told from the human perspective, and from the human perspective, all of these answers aren't known. Like all of this stuff that we're talking about right now, none of this is actually like
Yeah,
understood, right?
they're just basically monkey men that fucking barely communicate through like body language and stuff like that, who are on this world and potentially even mutated and able to breed faster than standard humans and stuff like that because they quickly have to survive and move and they lose people like very consistently, like sometimes even on the daily,
Yeah.
to the goings on above them,
Do you think because so? I want to be careful using the word monkey
or
men just
not
because
above,
I want to see them as pretty
primitive.
intelligent, but
Yeah,
yeah,
well, we
I
were
want to see them
intelligent.
primitive.
We were just as intelligent when we were monkey men too, just because we didn't develop language yet. Doesn't mean our brains weren't capable.
Okay. Yeah, that's the important part to me because I want to imagine them as basically the same brain as we would have today. It's just in an environment where they don't have any experience or technology or
Yeah,
knowledge or society
and
to guide them through life, so they're kind of
something I
figuring
was
things out.
something I was gonna say, because we were talking, you talking about the theme of mutation. It gave me the idea to slip this in, and humans aren't all like standard humans. You can have like variations and stuff like that because they heavily get mutated. Some will breed fast. Some will be short or taller or
That's what I was gonna
stronger or
ask. I was
more
gonna ask is because of
animalistic.
this because humans are very adaptive because
Yeah, I
they're
think they should mutate and
yeah
be fucking weird
because
troglodyte people
they're kind
and
of like finding because they're existing in a world like this so short in their lifespan.
mm,
They have a faster growing pace than we do in
yeah.
like real life, right?
And also
So
maybe a shorter. They have a shorter life expectancy, I imagine, as well.
yes,
Like
yes.
they
Well,
grow, they grow, they age quickly and
that's
everything.
how
For sure.
the science of life expectancy usually works, doesn't it? Like the longer you age, like the longer you can live, like a turtle, whatever, like a one of those Galapagos turtle things. The longer you live, the like slower you kind of are, and you're kind of useless throughout your life, but you can live a long time, right? But you don't use much energy throughout your life. So we have to use in this situation we're using like huge bursts of energy to survive constantly, and
Mm.
we can and grow very quickly. But then that means that the life expectancy is probably like 20 years is like old, right?
That's what I would say too. Yeah,
Yeah, I would say
sounds
20
about
years
right.
is probably like elders. Like your
20 years,
elders are
like
20.
you would you would be an elite like like protected like saint of your people because of
If you can make it to 20
surviving
years old.
20, like
Yeah.
just surviving 20 years on the planet. Like most people don't know, no one even knows that people can get to 20 years potentially, because even if the 20-year-olds were there, like when do they have the time to write down history? Do they even develop language and writing? No, who knows? Can
Yeah.
they? And like, it'd be cool to see how they develop, like as humans would. A lot
Yeah.
of it will be mutation based stuff. I think like you might have some people who are like extremely intelligent, but like or savants of some kind, or but they're crippled in every way and things like that.
Do you think the age thing would be a little bit hard to relate to, like from like a viewer's perspective, from someone that's trying to get into this like universe? We want to keep it like relatable and whatnot. Do you think if we made them this young, so like you have a warrior that's like 3 or 4 years old or something, do you think that's like can you envision somebody being like the size of like a 16-year-old but only being 3 or 4 years old? Like, should we try to think of this in a way that
Primarchs
makes a little bit more
do that,
sense? Huh?
but like Primarchs do that.
What's that?
Fucking 40k, the Space Marine, the Emperor's sons. They aged like that. Like they were like 10 years old, and they look like a 30-year-old massive buff
Oh,
bodybuilder man.
really?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, because that's
yeah,
basically what we're
because they're
explaining here.
mutated. They're biological fucking creations of the Emperor. So if the context is understood, like basically you just know that they age quickly and die quickly. Every day people die, but they age and pregnancies aren't 9 months. They're like maybe a week or something like that. That kind of shit.
Do you
But
think we
people
should
die all the
what
time
if
from their own
what do you
ailments
think
because like that would be traumatic on the human body and create lots of heat. You know what
what
I
do you
mean? Like
what do you
people
think of
aging
the
quickly and
idea
stuff.
of instead of using years as a time of age, you use like
Mm.
cycles or something? Like maybe there's like cycles that we kind of like focus on like between migrations or whatever. And then that would make a little bit more sense. Maybe 17 cycles would be similar to like 17-year-old in art, like in real life. That way
Oh,
like
you
instead of
just want
using
to move away
years,
from the word years. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
instead of
fine.
using like 17 years old, you know, like 17 cycles old. That way you can kind of relate to a little bit better. Is that a stupid idea, or am I overthinking
Oh,
this?
it's fine. I don't. It's not necessary, but it's perfectly acceptable and honestly improves it. So
Okay.
why not?
Well, I'm just imagining if like someone telling you this epic story, and then like, and
Oh,
then this
some
three-year-old
asshole.
warrior, and then like I'm
Well,
imagining my
no
daughter
one's
with a
gonna
spear,
describe
just
it that way.
ah.
But you're right. Like changing the wording would stop a few people who might be silly from being silly. So yeah.
I mean, it would if you say a 3-year-old in this situation, my
No
head would
one would
also
say,
think
no
of
one
my
would
daughter.
describe them as such. They would just say, they would describe the character. No, like in what story do you say, oh yes, the 396-year-old Gimli dwarf, like that's not how characters are
Yeah.
described in a story ever,
Okay.
ever.
Okay.
So if you're describing it like that, then we got bigger problems.
Okay. All right. So I will
So,
not use the
fucking,
word years. I will use the word
yeah, don't.
cycles. Problem solved.
My character, my OC is 17 years old,
You know,
but he looks like a 4,000-year-old man.
yeah.
He's dust.
All right. So day in the life of a human. This is
Oh,
one of the biggest problems I've been having.
the
So
most extreme thing, the first thing that comes to my head is the funniest thing, and that's just like they can literally see like either the gods or a god just like beating the shit out of the planet, like just, just fucking raining hellfire down and punching the planet, and like nature fighting back and giant monstrosities like pouring up its arms. You could see it on the horizon, like it's very far away, but also like insanely huge, so you can still see it, right?
now, okay. I guess before going into the human stuff,
And
that
like
we have to answer that question. How
the
do the
sky would be like,
gods? How do the gods fight back, or how do they obtain what they're trying to obtain? Because I
mhm,
sent you a picture of like a corrupted heart in the forest.
yeah,
There could be like catalysts or something that they have to destroy, or there's like these
yeah, that's what I was thinking, like beacons of power and stuff like that that are wards, things like that are like
and if they obtain
protecting.
if they can get to those, they can consume them.
Yeah, they can like take a portion of the power so that nature can't like fight back as effectively or like
And
mutate
they
things in a
become
way.
like
Ooh, yeah, or
stronger.
like they take power from them basically, and or they can even use its own power against itself or something like that. Because that's the whole point, is they're trying to control. It's chaos versus control. That's what this is. This is
Yes,
the story.
but yeah, chaos
Chaos
versus control. I
control.
like that. Yeah, and then we're
Um,
just trying to survive.
yeah, and we're just a byproduct. Yeah, like I said, we are the shart of a battle between two fucking entities that we cannot fathom.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
literally living on one of them, and the other one's trying to fucking beat the shit out of it and tame it. And I think it doesn't have to be like the god is in the sky at all times, but like as like it could, like I'm wondering, like, is it more than one god? Is it like multiple entities? Are they titans? Are they like one massive like space fucking dragon or something? Like, what is
No.
it?
So I was leaning towards having um I was leaning towards having multiple gods. But these gods interact with the material world through creations of their own. So there would be titans roaming around, but there'd be like different
Oh yeah,
things
like
created
kind of
from
nature
different
based as
gods, and
well.
maybe
Yeah.
there's like 5 gods or something, and maybe there's even um, disputes between the gods themselves, like not even nature involved. Maybe the gods have their own society type deal. But I was thinking that they don't come down and interact with the world. They have um,
Oh,
uh,
they manipulate matter like rocks and stuff like that to become like
you
small
see these
entities
huge like
to like
structures
besiege
and
uh
yeah,
like the nature's magical barriers and blah 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 with all that bullshit.
yeah.
Yeah, that's I like that idea. Yeah.
And do you think like a handful of gods makes sense, like 3 to 5 or something? That way, there's like
It could-
different. We can come
it
up
could,
with like
it
different kind
doesn't.
of
I guess technically it
brands
wouldn't
of.
have to be known by anybody, but like it's like a choir of voices or something like that. You know what I mean? It could just be energy.
Well, they could have different like styles, almost like different beliefs,
Like,
or they create different types of
uh,
things.
I was thinking it could just be like one massive like ascended consciousness of people that like basically ascended and became energy, and you just hear like a choir of voices talking to you, and they send their waves of energy at things to like manipulate matter into like and basically agents of their will.
What do they just go around the universe consuming things like a bull shark in the ocean?
Yeah. Yeah, they want to control. They're a sentient species that ascended, and they are curious. They want to fuck with things and see what happens, and like they find this weird planet that's alive, basically, and very angry and hungry.
So
And
when you
it's
say
like, I
they,
want that.
are you saying
Mm,
like they're kind of like unified in what they're going
yeah,
for?
Potentially, I think. Yeah, I think that's a fun idea to be like a Gestalt consciousness type thing. Like there could be dissenters still that are like, because just like how you can have like you can have like two different brains technically in your head if you split the brain down the middle,
Yeah.
right? I think that that's a fun idea to play with within the Gestalt consciousness of like there are defective people like consciousnesses within this energy, so like there could be intrigue and things and spycraft and stuff like that even within itself and traitors and stuff.
And the
But
soul eaters that we were talking about earlier are creations of it that if they do consume something, the soul gets put into this collection of minds.
minds.
Like is this you're saying that the god is like it's like an entity of like multiple voices, like acquired voices.
Like it's a whole bunch of people that ascended into like a godlike entity, like one. Imagine like they become energy. They've become the ability to manipulate matter as one, right? So they share a consciousness as a whole. Because like souls are energy in this universe, right? So
Yeah.
they found a way to like turn themselves into energy, but conscious energy. It doesn't have to coalesce into something, so that it can just stay
And
energy.
does this energy drain?
Hmm.
Does it drain? It needs to be like refilled, refueled.
They want to add more energy to the pile. More ideas, more consciousnesses, more souls. Because that's also how
I'm busy.
nature
You
uses
busy?
the
Yeah,
soul's power to do what it does to
I'm
alter
busy.
reality.
I'm recording.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
And nature uses this as well. The souls, the what makes humanity, what makes like sentience and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The energy that does all of that is what they're both after, which would mean that everything that nature makes would also have like a sentience to it as well. Any weapon
So
of nature.
and is their desire similar to like the human desire of how like people think that if they have a certain thing, oh, everything's gonna be solved, like it's
Hello.
gonna be resolved. Oh, can you hear me? Hello.
I broke up for a second.
Oh,
Start
am I
over.
good?
Yeah, seems like
All
it.
right. You know how like humans think that if they have X thing, whether it's like $1,000,000, they win the lottery, or like power or status, whatever. If you have like a certain thing that you desire, you think once you achieve that, you'll be happy. But then once you do achieve that, you do get a sense of dopamine, or like a point of like dopamine. But then things will even out, and like if you get a mansion, for example, at some point you become like accustomed to that mansion, where it doesn't give you that satisfaction, and then you want something else, right? Is that kind of what drives this
Like God
conscious
entity.
energy? Is like it wants to consume something so badly,
I
but then when it
I don't
does,
think
it's
it's a
still not. It's like
hunger.
an unquenching hunger kind of thing,
No,
or
no.
no?
Nature, I would say nature is like that. It does it for the sake of entropy, so it just consumes, right? But the godlike entity, or the choir, or whatever you want to call it, I like that as a good placeholder name.
The choir.
Um, the choir, yeah. They do it out of curiosity. Like imagine humanity ascended into like an energetic form and could just like travel across the galaxy, the universe, and explore things as one. You know what I mean? What would we do if we found a fucking and we what do we do right now as humans? We go out, we
Oh,
tame, we master, we control, right?
yeah.
So that's that.
What if this entity is humanity as we know it, and
It's so
this?
like it
Oh,
doesn't
I
have like
lost you
any
for a second.
yeah, okay, say go back.
What if this entity is
I would say
humanity?
it's even innocent. Like maybe you could maybe not
Okay, we keep
childlike
losing
though.
connection.
Like hmm, yeah, it seems like it.
Can I bring Evie in to say goodnight?
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna say goodnight to Evie real quick. Hopefully the connection
Okay.
fixes.
Okay.
I like where you're going with this. It wasn't what I had
Cool.
in mind, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I do too. I like what you were suggesting as well. Just go ahead though.
I'm just gonna wait for Evie to say goodnight. Come here, sweetie.
Be right back.
Okay, Daddy. Want to go say goodnight?
Night, night.
No, no, no.
Sweet dreams.
No, not time.
I love you.
No, not time.
I'll see you in the morning.
No, not time. No, not time.
And she sank.
Oh my god. So I had to carry her out of the park earlier. So I did the underarm maneuver and she just dangled. Like her arms, her face. She wasn't crying or anything. She
Just dangling.
She's coming back in
All right, I'm back.
for a
Move
second
to-
try.
move.
She's going to actually say night.
Night night.
Sweet dreams.
I see morning.
I'll see you in the morning.
Aww.
Love you.
See you in the morning, she said.
Alright, so what if this conscious energy ball of voices is actually humanity as we know it, is what we become? And this this thing that we're talking about is sometime actually in the future, not in the past.
Going full interstellar.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie?
I probably forgot.
Oh fuck! Well, I'm sorry for the spoiler. if you didn't
That's
see
fine.
it. Yeah, we could play with the idea that I think it needs to be a little bit different because of Interstellar being such a popular movie. The idea is to like that. You know what I mean? It's almost like owned by that movie. I feel like.
Wait, what
But,
does
we
Interstellar do?
basically, like the main antagonist, or that they're like kind of chasing in a sense, is actually them, but in the future that have ascended into like this fourth dimensional entity consciousness, kind of similar to this, but like not. But they're trying to help humanity, but like they can't help too much because then they'll ruin they'll cause a paradox. You know what I mean? So they're trying to help them become what they are, but through this very convoluted way.
I think in this, if we did that in this story, they maybe don't even they're too far gone, but they don't even recognize they don't even recognize what they used to be.
I think they might even like not even stay in this reality. Maybe that's a possibility.
I like the idea
of
because
nature
it gives me more understanding of what this thing is, and it gives me things to play around with and mold and whatnot. So I kind of like that concept a lot.
Right.
And even so the planet we're working with, is it definitely going to be Earth, or is it like an Earth-like planet?
I think it should be different from Earth in the sense that it's constantly changing. Like they had like a labyrinth of like nature changing and like biomes and stuff constantly moving and changing. You know, things growing and dying quickly all over it. Similar to like how that's like why humanity does the same thing. You know, life moves quickly on it because the whole point is entropy. It's consume, break things down. So it's just like a mass of entities on this planet and plants growing.
Okay.
Heavy vegetation. What you call it? Yeah, like very lush planet. Doesn't have to be all jungle, but like lush. Like people usually think jungle automatically when someone says lush, but definitely not just jungle. Like any like heavily forested, vegetated environments you can think of.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now that we have a better understanding of kind of what these two entities are, we can focus on the human life. The humans haven't yet really formed societies. They can't stay in one place because they're constantly getting scattered by things going on. But you were wondering, how often do they actually visually see effects of the war? How often do they actually experience creatures,
I think they should
monsters, stuff
experience
like
it
that
on the daily. It would be
on
the
the
most
daily?
interesting. Yeah, because like what would like, that's like I feel like it's like such an interesting idea. Like I don't know how it would be done, and it
Mhm.
might not be possible to do it well in the story and not have it be cringe. But like I just think the idea of it being fucking something that's just like yes, the gods in the sky fighting, and or they're experiencing fucking natural disasters every fucking day. Uh, I think that would be so fucking crazy. It would fit the whole theme of the story and the pacing of like, holy shit, like things are happening so fast because this is like it is pure chaos at all times in their world. There's no
Yeah,
time for rest.
so everyone is pretty much on constant adrenaline rush throughout their entire life.
Yes, high anxiety.
Do they sleep?
No, why not? They don't have to. Like, why, or very little at least.
Like they all of
um,
their energy is used for one quick short burst of life and then gone.
of yeah, like fighting, fucking, eating,
Yeah,
dying. That's humans, and
yeah.
like like very rebellious to each other, even you know, willing to push someone else's head under the water to get up as fast as
Now
possible because they don't want to drown.
one of the
But
biggest
they
things I've
also
been
it's also easier to do that because of the anonymity.
one of the biggest things I've been struggling with envisioning how I want to do is the communication part. There is going to be they do know how to speak a language. That way we can use English in our characters if we wanted to. However,
Yeah.
do they commonly speak the language? Like, is it more common to have maybe like a signal or like how do they usually interact? And also, what's the numbers of the general amount that move together or work together? Those are the two questions I've been trying to figure out.
Hmm. The numbers of sorry, say that last thing again. I heard everything else.
So yeah,
The last
the
question.
number, like basically the number of the tribe. If there is a tribe of people or a family of people
Oh,
or
if there's a
whatever,
group, like what's
how
the
big
standard
is it?
like group
Yeah,
size? I see.
usually. And then
Uh,
also, how do they interact? Are they talking all the time? Are they sending signals? Is it very animalistic? Is it more human-like?
I
I've been very back and
maybe
forth on this.
it could be like basically um like if they're constantly in either stealth like in fight or flight mode, then they could have two languages, one for flight, one for fight. So they have like a whole different accent and way of speaking and mannerism, sounds and stuff, hand and body language for when they're fighting or flighting. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I like that.
No, okay, that was just an idea.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, okay, well, what is the situation causes fight or flight? So like,
Well,
they would be
is
extremely
the
different ways of speaking and interacting with each other for each. Because it would just be such a formative thing for them, but there's a different way of wording it. But go ahead.
um the thing that I want to open myself up for is be able to get better at character building. And I feel like in order to get good at character building, I need to allow the opportunity to have like conversations. Originally, I was thinking what I wanted was basically not really any conversations. People don't trust each other enough for that. People usually are more independent and self-sustaining and evasive. And then if you saw somebody, you might have like a signal or you might recognize their mask. Or something like that is what I was originally thinking, but now I'm leaning more towards maybe we should have a little bit more of a society because that could be more interesting. And then I'm just like, okay, how much of a society? How much communication?
Well, only the people that can take their masks off can actually like have those human interactions. Because the masks create such anonymity, you don't even know who you're talking to. You're only interacting for the sake of like utility.
Well, people would have different masks.
No, the whole point is anonymity. Because why would you? That was the whole thing with the masks from
Yeah, I don't like that because I want to go. I want to have
all of what I've said about that is out the window then, because I was talking about it being the whole point of the masks and the hollowing and all that shit is to stop the pain of losing people you know. And if you know something about someone, like for example having a unique mask, when
yeah.
they die you're going to be sad. So the whole point of the mask is defeated.
What if that is how it started and then it once that order is broken, it turns into more of a personalized mask. Like,
I was just gonna say the people
because I want personalized
don't get
masks personally.
the people who people who can like. There's gonna be a group of people who fucking can resist the hollowing and end up taking their masks off.
Like, there could be a whole
What you call
cult
it.
of people that have all identical
And
masks.
those people are like, more relatable humans because they're individuals. We can't relate with a group of people who are the masses of people that are fleeing for their lives and have adopted a culture of anonymity for the sake of not knowing. There's no use to them knowing each other because they may be gone tomorrow, kind of thing.
Well, what if these are all different tribes of humans? One is basically exactly what you explained, where
That's what I'm saying.
where you have
Not one
a
tribe.
let me just say this. You have a leader that's basically a cult leader that has everyone wearing the same mask for the reasons that you said, because those I do like that, and they also kind of use their people as fodder, as human fodder, and they have the most numbers out of any other tribe.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Okay,
yeah.
all right, sorry, I was my own thoughts.
It was the main tribe, and it's like the, in a sense, antagonist. Like you would think, oh well, yeah, that's frustrating. It's really it's like depraving them of their humanity, basically.
So that could be a
It's like,
faction.
how does
right?
this? Yeah, how does this? I wasn't saying that's all of humanity. I was saying that that was the point I was making originally. Sorry, I thought I was clear about that.
Well, you might have been, but I'm also in my own head at the same time. So
because that's why I said like the other tribes would be like the people who don't get hollowed, and then you would have like roaming bands of hollowed humans who have like wanted to take their masks off because they hate that they're being forced to do it this way, right? So like that was why that's why I got kind of disappointed when you're like, oh, like, let's just throw that in the trash. And I was like, but there's this whole chain of things.
No, I do really like that. I didn't realize you were saying it in that way, and I definitely have a lot of ideas when it comes to having like personalized masks, especially when creating like individual stories. It could be very interesting to have like an anime take kind of thing.
Yeah, like the people who they end up, they're so used to having their mask, it's like a comfort thing, so they end up customizing it though because they want that individuality. Or something like that.
But the
concept... it still feels they maybe they get hollowed over time, so they have to put the mask back on. Or so, I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
No. So yeah, I like the concept that you're saying. So we have this faction of people that are the highest in numbers, and they kind of are just like human fodder. Is there like a fighting tactics basically?
Yeah, fight. They fight or they run and hope. And because it's not going to be me, it's going to be you because there's so many of us.
And then you have random spread out tribes. We'll create other factions as we go through this because I want to have multiple different types of ideas and concepts.
Very exploitative of each other.
But you have like you have some people that are like more guerrilla warfare tacticians. They're more thought out but smaller in numbers. And these ones don't all wear the same masks, for example. But I do like the concept. I wasn't thinking of this originally. I do like the concept of having like very distinctive factions within the humans, that we can work on one at a time, but definitely not tonight. But we agree on that, right?
Yeah, as far as I've thought since we talked earlier today, we both seem to agree that there was like an underdog type group that may not even be together, but like if they would meet, they would be friends automatically, right? Like the people who the non-masked humans would automatically be like a faction, and then the masked humans would be. So
the non-masked humans, I was thinking was like a rarity, like an epic rarity of like.
I was just gonna say because there's so many people. Like there's so many people, being birthed and dying. Like there's a high chance that there's at least like a small, enough of them that they're influential. Maybe 50 people, or something.
Out of all the human population.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be okay with that. Somewhere between 10 to 50 is I'd be okay with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not common. I don't want them to be common.
Not common, but like they would be like their own thing, and that's where you would see like the more personalized masks and stuff, and where you would have the relatable story for the actual reader to experience, like, oh, these are individual heroes and characters and things like that.
Yeah.
And there's so much you can do with that as a writing tool.
Okay.
And
so I'm on
they
board.
they still have new people all the time as well. They come, because they're constantly making more as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm on board with that. And I like that we So we covered basically what we think the choir. I'll call them the choir. Is nature. We need to figure out a name for later on. That's fine. We understand how it works, how the give and the take, basically chaos versus what you said? Chaos versus what?
Like order and chaos. Yeah.
Order and was that what I thought you said?
Yeah.
Something else. Chaos versus something else.
Control.
Is it control? Yeah, I think it was control.
Yeah. Same
so
idea.
I like that concept. I like the humans. We have different factions of them, and there's the identical mass cult, big massive human fodder faction. There's going to be individualized ones, and we're going to make more factions as we go. And then you have the unmasked humans that can actually survive without taking their mask off, because typically if you take your mask off, you become a husk. So for the last 10 minutes, I wanted to talk about what are the husks and what are the supernatural. Like, because I was saying when you die, your soul doesn't really know where to go, so it might possess something or get lost or become something supernatural in a way. I imagine these husks are also supernatural in a way.
I would think it would go. It goes feral.
Yeah, so it could be like demonic.
The
You think it would be what?
But you've lost your soul, and now you are just, a peon of
repeat
nature.
that. I lost you for a minute.
I said, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. I said basically they would become like, okay, they have their souls, they have their individuality technically within them, and once that is taken from them, which is from by the mask, you become controlled. I guess maybe it has nothing to do with the soul, but maybe it just lets the curse is that nature basically takes control of you as a weapon, and nature's goal is to consume. So you become like a feral human, basically, is what I was thinking. That just causes even more entropy. So you just attack everything around you.
Are you talking about the soul, or are you talking about a husk?
The husk.
The husk? Because I was thinking the husk is pretty docile until taken over by
something.
What
would a husk be?
Like, I was thinking...
It would be like a feral human.
I was thinking a husk would be quite the opposite. It would be very docile until taken over. It's very vulnerable. It has no defenses, and either side can take it over.
Well, what would it be taken over by?
You just explained what it would look like if nature took it over. The choir also could use it for its own doing.
Okay, so aimless zombies, basically, that are kind of just like wandering, and then when there's like a battle, like something going on, and nature's trying to stop it, like you'll see like husks basically being like possessed by each side over this battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like turning on each other, and you see these husks like tearing each other apart and attacking the titans that are being formed by the guy, the choir and everything. Oh, that's such a fucking sick scene to think about.
That is an awesome scene. I like that. So that's the direction I was going with the husks. And the other thing that I wanted to figure out was supernatural. This is good. I want supernatural to be involved. How do you think that would? So this, I guess, supernatural would. So the husk is the body. What does the soul go to when you die? The husk loses its soul, and the soul becomes something that's supernatural. Is what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's what the choir is made up of. But it's like,
the choir does want to absorb these souls. Yes, but if it doesn't get absorbed by the choir, it can possess something. It can become demonic. It can become, you know what I mean? Yeah. So maybe we don't need an answer for that right now, but it is true that we can mess with supernatural and use these lost souls in order to do so. Are we just gonna leave it at
that? I don't even want to call them lost souls. They just become like they're like a form of matter. So like the magic of the world is affected. Like, let's say souls are removed from being coalesced into like an entity. So like a human dies, there's I think that would like create more energy to be used. Like, for example, if someone's a mage, killing other humans around you and releasing their souls into the air would allow you to have more potent magics, because you're.
I mean, the choir does. In order to get magic from the choir, you do need to make either sacrifices or make like immense things of faith. Like, you need to show it that you are obedient to it or whatever. But sacrificing is one of the ways of getting magic. So sacrificing these souls to it would grant mana to humans that are like mages and want to use basically. The mana. Right?
Yeah. So like horrific sacrifice. It doesn't have to be painful or anything like that. Just removing quickly the soul from the body would allow, if you know how to like then reuse that, you can use it to make powerful magic and blah 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 blah.
Well, humans wouldn't
And
know how to reuse it, but they would offer it as a
Well,
offering to the choir, and the
I
choir
think
would
that humans should figure out eventually that if they were to release that soul and then to use a spell, the soul, like, because like there's like a wind of magic in a sense. There's always energy of like when a death happens, there's energy released like visibly,
yes,
right?
yes, yep,
And it's like a steam, and if you have it
Yep.
around you and you cast your spell, it uses some of that, so you can make your. So like I think they shouldn't have to
Huh.
just sacrifice to the gods. Like maybe they believe that
Mhm.
that's what's happening, but the physics of it is like they're
So
burning
maybe
off some of that
maybe
energy.
okay. So what about
and
this? What
making
about
their
the
fire spell or whatever better?
when someone dies, the
Okay.
energy is released, and the energy is aimless, and these mages can't control it, but they could either use it in a moment for one of their spells, or they can offer it to like the choir. So
Yeah,
like they can kind of guide it one way or another.
yeah,
So you can easily
there you go. Yeah, offering it to the choir or using it for themselves is
Yes.
a perfect way.
But you have to use it in the moment because you don't have a way to like hold it. Like there's no way to like
Yeah.
contain
Yeah,
that energy.
exactly. Like your spell's not gonna do shit without it, basically. But you need it. So like having some form of life with you to suddenly snuff out
Yeah.
and then cast is a thing. So like you could have like
Yeah.
dudes that have like small bugs in their pouch. They crush a bug and they cast a fucking spell.
Yeah.
That's a fucking. I like that. That's very unique. Horrific, and like how many things would have to die. Like, dude, people like having a rabbit and just be like, "I'm gonna fucking blow your head off." You know, you'll have to kill that rabbit first, and then they just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, you could just kill somebody and then kill somebody else with magic after too. That's like,
Now,
No,
if it's a non-human, it would be way weaker because it doesn't have.
yes,
I think humans are the ones that have the souls.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that animals would have the souls.
I would say they'd have like some sort of soul because everything that nature is doing.
It's all
for
tied to
example.
nature, yeah.
Yeah, and the
Humans are
animals
much
all
more
gonna be
powerful,
fucked up
though.
anyway. Like they're gonna be like the holy hand grenade skit in Monty Python rabbits.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah,
Like
but a human,
nothing is going to be friendly coming from nature.
like
It's
a
all
human life
lethal.
would be like at least 20 times more powerful than a rabbit's life.
So yes, yeah, it'd be way bigger. It'd be like a bonfire versus a candle.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to remember that the creatures are not going to be lovable. So it's not like they're going to be just breaking cute little bunny rabbit necks. Or
I mean,
whatever.
they
They're
were
going to be-
lovable until all of this happened.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
now
Exactly.
they're not.
Until this chaos, and now they are manifestations of nature, and nature's pissed. So they're fucking.
Yeah,
They're spiky. They're angry. They're bitey.
yeah,
They're ferocious, and they're out to kill everything, including each other.
exactly. So that covers everything I wanted to cover. Like we got 4 minutes left. Was there like something that we missed?
last thing I said, I just want to make sure you have that head down in your head. That last thing I said, that's like a big part of it. I think that
What's
nature
that?
isn't even nature attacks itself constantly as well, right?
Ooh,
Because
yeah.
animals, that's how animals are, right?
Yeah, and I was also. Does the choir have like problems with itself as well?
Like I said, there could be dissenters, or there could be like voices that disagree.
Split. Yeah, I
like,
you use the
they're-
concept of the
they-
split mind.
They're like suppressed, but they try and they're like the subconscious. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're like in the back of the mind, like please stop doing these things, or whatever.
Yeah,
But like the main voice is still suppressing them too much, and occasionally voices' minds are changed, so the
Mhm.
choir can change based off of the majority rule. It's a pure democracy.
yeah, it is. There it is.
Like
That's America in the future.
force. Yeah. Like it's just you're suppressed completely. Cannot even speak if you basically you have to work so much harder to exert your.
And I imagine if a human somehow obtained the power to actually hear the choir, they would just they'd probably die of deafness, or like they would have like a screaming, just they'd be like paralyzed almost.
Yeah, it'd
they
be
would
like
just-
a million people talk. It would be like
Mhm.
like all of humankind talking at the same time.
Yeah,
And
too
they wouldn't
much.
be able to- they wouldn't- yeah.
They can't
exactly.
handle it exactly. Yep. Ugh.
Just imagine. I'm trying to. It would be a horrific sound too, because imagine like
Mhm.
you know how like you ever hear. I mean, obviously you have like you ever been like a fucking like a stadium show and you hear all those people screaming together and stuff like
yeah.
that, and it doesn't even sound like people yelling. It has
No.
like this weird echoing sound too.
Yeah.
Imagine that with like a billion people doing that at the same time. Holy fuck.
Yeah. It's gonna be terrifying. That's the whole thing for sure. All right, so yeah, I'm going to end it here, and I'll see if I can turn it into an audio only, throw it into GPT to organize
If not, we can
thoughts
always
and see
listen
what it
back and
spits
take
back.
notes.
But yeah, if not, we can always listen back to this. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is going good.
Yeah. If
Fuck
you want to
yeah.
talk about it another time, let me know. This is cool.
Oh, I
like
do.
This.
I do. Maybe
Good
once a
brain
week or
juice.
something. Yeah, once a
Sure.
week. Sound good?
Sure.
All right, cool.